The month right before Rosh Hashanah is called Elul, and it is a gift given to us so that we can prepare ourselves for the holiday season, for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We don't just show up on the days of Rosh Hashanah and expect ourselves to be in the right place. We spend a whole month preparing. Well, this year, we're preparing in many different ways. Most of us will not be in-house, in shul, in synagogue, in temple for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Many synagogues, like the Nanuet Hebrew Center, are offering live streaming services. The services may be even a little bit shorter than usual. Well, they're different. And it's going to be a struggle emotionally for many of us to deal with 5781, welcoming in that new year in such a different way. It's not going to feel the same. But throughout our history, we've struggled so many different times around Rosh Hashanah time. For some in our community, the elderly in our community, they might even remember the Holocaust. Those horrible years during World War II, where Jews were in ghettos, where Jews were in concentration camps, where Jews were cut off from a real holiday experience. Yet those experiences did take place. And I'd like to share a story that I first learned from Rabbi Morris Silverman, Zichrono Livracha, in a book he had compiled called Heaven on Our Heads. It's a story about 3 days of Rosh Hashanah. 3 days? Rosh Hashanah is only 2 days long. But the story will explain itself. The story will tell us that we can still find meaningful connections even if this year is not a normative year for all of us. The mystics tell us that one year there were 3 days of Rosh Hashanah. How strange. And how did it come about? This is what they said. In the year 1944, the angels approached the heavenly throne and they asked God, Eimatai Rosh Hashanah? When is Rosh Hashanah this year? And God replied, why do you ask me? Remember, not I, but the Beit Din Shel Mata, the court on earth, determines the date of Rosh Hashanah. The angels then flew down to Jerusalem and heard the rabbis of the Beit Din announce that Rosh Hashanah that year was to be observed on Monday and Tuesday. Thereupon they returned to heaven and began to prepare for the day of judgment. They brought out records of every human being on earth and placed them before the heavenly throne. Then they summoned the prosecutor, Satan, the defender, the archangel Gabriel, and witnesses to appear on the following Monday. Early on Sunday morning, the day before Rosh Hashanah, one of the angels heard the chanting of the Rosh Hashanah prayer, V'timloch ata Adonai levadecha. Thou, O Lord, you alone will rule over all your works on Mount Zion. Why today? Asked the angel. This is Sunday. I heard the rabbis announce that Rosh Hashanah will be observed tomorrow, Monday. Why do they chant this prayer today? The angel flew down to Jerusalem and to her great surprise, found all the shops were open. Everyone was buying food and preparing for tomorrow and Tuesday's holiday. But again, the angel heard the chanting of the Rosh Hashanah prayers. It seemed to come from a distance, from somewhere in Europe. But Europe was overrun by the Nazis. Who could be praying there? The angel flew to Yugoslavia. But when she reached that country, the chanting seemed to come from someplace farther away, perhaps Italy. In Italy, the voices sounded as if they came from Germany, the home of the Nazis. The angel then flew over Germany, past Munich, and here distinctly heard that the prayers were emanating from the Cathedral of Cologne. Upon entering the cathedral, she saw the bishop, but certainly the chanting did not come from him. Besides the voices, they were children's voices. The angel continued to follow the sound and came into a little room where two children, dressed as altar boys, were both chanting the Rosh Hashanah prayers. From them, she learned that in order to save their lives, their parents had sent them to this cathedral, and they had promised to remember and observe all the Jewish holy days. Having no calendar and no contact with other Jews, they did not know the exact day of Rosh Hashanah. They assumed it was this day, Sunday. The angel, greatly moved by the sight of these children and their devotion to our traditions, the traditions of their people, the angel flew directly to heaven to report the incident. All the angels were deeply stirred. When is Rosh Hashanah? They asked each other. Is it Monday, the fixed days by the rabbis of Jerusalem, Monday and Tuesday? Or is it today, the day fixed by the children in Cologne? What can be done about this? We cannot offend the rabbis, and we cannot disappoint these children. After a few moments of discussion, one of the angels spoke up. I know what we'll do. We'll observe Rosh Hashanah 3 days this year. Without dissent, all the angels agreed. When Satan, the prosecutor, heard this, he sneered. Absurd. I've never heard of such a thing. Not the Rosh Hashanah set by the rabbis, but the Rosh Hashanah set by children? And Satan did not appear before the heavenly throne that Sunday. God, however, who considers sacred the feelings of all children, held court without the prosecutor, and the decrees issued from his throne were the most favorable in centuries. He decreed the fall of the Nazis and the restoration of Zion as a homeland for the Jewish people. The mystics still believe that the reestablishment of the state of Israel was due in large measure to the loyalty and the devotion of children. The year 5781, we will be emotionally in trying circumstances. We will find it a little bit more difficult to connect, but connect we must. We must be as devoted as those children in the Cathedral of Cologne. We must find our spirituality, maybe not in our temples, in our synagogues, in our shuls, but in our hearts. And truth be told, that's where it's supposed to be all along. So I wish you all, as we begin this month of Elul, a Shana Tova, that we spend the upcoming weeks preparing for those holy days. So when they arrive, we'll be in touch with what's in our hearts, and our prayers will travel even higher. Again, L'Shana Tova Tikatevu V'Techatemu.